What's up, guys? It's Bastian here coming at you with another old school Pokemon theme deck profile. And today we are looking at the Blaine theme deck. Now, I actually had this Blaine theme deck since I was for 13, I think. 13 or, yeah, 12 or 13. And I kind of always been a little bit fire Pokemon focused as a child, not necessarily Charizard focused, but I did like the sort of the kind of like the general look of the cards. And by the way, this is all different stuff from different starters and checklists from different sets. So I was just checking if the original coin was in it that it came with, but it doesn't. But anyway, we are mostly here to look at the deck. Now, interestingly, I do have the Japanese version as well, which I picked up a couple of years ago. So if you guys want to see a comparison between the two decks, let me know, and I can also profile the Japanese deck for you guys. Believe it or not, quite a few interesting differences between the decks. One of the first things is that you got 3 rares. What's the... Come on, what were you thinking, guys? They could have really given us a 3rd rare in these starters. Um, Nevertheless, let's look at the Watsy Blaine from Gym Challenge. We'll start with basics and evolutions. We'll start with the Pokemon. One thing that, if you guys have been watching my theme deck profiles, you know that I'm not a massive fan of basics that don't have an evolution line in these theme decks, and that is exactly what Blaine's Vulpix is in the deck. I think he kind of ended up being here because the Japanese set has a Ninetales, which you can evolve into. But nevertheless, you can still call Will-O-the-Wisp and be able to recover some energy cards from your discard pile. So there is some utility for this Vulpix, and at least it does have a 10 damage bite attack as well. One of my favorite ones, we got 3 Charmander, Blaine's Charmander, and 2 Blaine's Charmeleon. Charmander is pretty cool. You get a 20 damage attacking for just the 1 fire energy and a 50-50 chance that you have to discard it. It's obviously where Vulpix can come into the picture, may be able to recover some of that. But this Charmeleon can, if you just stick with theme deck battles, quite easily win the game for you. That Fire Claw, 30 damage for 2 fire is sweet. The 70 HP is sweet. And the Bonfire attack is really, really, really good. It does need the 3 energies, but that's not really a problem in theme deck battles, theme deck showdowns, and you can deal up to 30 damage to each of your opponent's Pokemon without weakness and resistance. And that's just super cool. Like, even if you just get like 20 damage off Bonfire on every single one of your opponent's Pokemon, that's pretty cool. That's a pretty nice attack. So yeah, really cool. And I also always like the artwork on this Charmeleon. I never really liked the base set Charmeleon artwork, but Blaine's Charmeleon I think has a pretty cool artwork. Moving on, we do have some colorless as well, Blaine's Doduo and a Blaine's Dodrio. I really like Blaine's Doduo, to be honest with you guys. First of all, we got free retreat cost, which is great. You can get a potential 20 hit for a colorless, so yeah, any energy. Which is really cool, and the retaliate attack is really good, particularly if you have double colorless energies in a deck. So I actually did run a couple of Blaine's Dodio when I had a Blaine's Rapidash deck back in the days, just to cover water weakness. You know, have a colorless and free retreat stuff. And we do have an evolution line into 1 copy of Blaine's Dodrio against 70 HP, which is pretty cool. But that Mega Pack attack is, well, I mean, if you pull it off, then great. I mean, could win you the game, but it's, again, 50-50 for 50 damage or nothing. And yeah, roll the dice on it. I'm not a big fan, but it is what it is. I would say probably at the core of the deck we have 4 Blaine's Ponyta and 2 Blaine's Rapidash. Blaine's Ponyta, I actually like this version compared to the other one, although you do have a single energy retreat cost, whereas the 40 HP Ponyta does not. Uh, this guy's attack, the hind kick, can potentially give you a. It's got a pretty good utility, like potentially be able to switch with another one of the Pokemon on your bench. Like it might just be a very simple combo, but you can hind kick with Blaine's Ponyta for 20, and then bring up Doduo, Blaine's Doduo. If your opponent attacks Blaine's Doduo, then you can deal some good damage if Doduo survives it with the retaliate attack. If not, you can free retreat back into Ponyta, and then you just carry on putting the extra counters on Doduo until you can get some decent damage in with it. And probably one of the other big beaters in the deck is Blaine's Rapidash. That Fire main attack is fantastic, just a simple, straightforward 20 damage. But that Stamp attack is really good. You get 30 in, and with a coin flip, you are potentially going to be able to deal 10 more damage and 10 damage to each of your opponent's bench Pokemon. So it could potentially be a 40 damage and 10 to every single Pokemon on your opponent's bench. But even 30, if you get the energies on, that is still a fantastic attack of Blaine's Rapidash. I really, really like this card. And then we're moving into the main event of the deck. 4 copies of Blaine's Growly, 2 copies each. This version is much better, number 62. And of course the big boy. They're both numbered 62 out of 132. That is, oh no, different sets. And a big boy, the cover card, Blaine's Arcanine. Let me just park this guy for a second. Blaine's Growly, well, not a great one. To deal 20 damage for 2 fire is pretty bad in this deck, where most of our guys can deal 20 damage, even though possibly on a coin flip, but most of them can just, one way or another. And it does then damage to each grass Pokemon on your opponent's bench. Now the thing about that is that if you come up against a deck that has grass anyway, you will already have the advantage that attack really is. I mean, it doesn't really do much. Plus, if you look at what sort of spread damage you can do with Blaine's Rapidash and Blaine's Charmeleon, this guy is just really an unnecessary third wheel in the deck. However, this Blaine's Growly from Gym Challenge, the first one's from Gym Heroes, this one's from Gym Challenge. The Stoke attack is cool because you can power up Blaine's Growly and obviously ready for the evolution into Arcanine. And that Body Slam attack is pretty good. Potential Paralyze can be very useful just to stall a turn. But again, then obviously we want to evolve into the big boy, Blaine's Arcanine. That heat tackle damage is really good whilst you're recuperating after a massive firestorm. I mean, that firestorm attack is guaranteed to take anything out pretty much. Yeah, I say pretty much everything. If you would play against a Metal Chansey deck, then no, probably not. Maybe yes, with the help of some energy removals. But anyway, again, I'm mostly showing these decks in the context of playing 2 theme decks against each other. So if you get off a massive firestorm, you lose 3 energies, but you can get some of it back potentially with a Vulpix, and if not, you can still heat tackle, and Blaine's Arcanine with a 90 HP is going to be able to soak up at least a couple of those heat tackle attacks, even if he does deal 10 damage to himself. So yeah, that's still not a real big problem. But realistically, you're probably not going to pull off more than 1, maybe 2 firestorms. So, your main firepower is still going to come from, obviously, Arcanine, yeah, but it does need a lot of setup. Rapidash you can get into fairly easily. And, of course, the 2 Blaine's Charmeleons. These will be your main firing squad in this deck. Moving on to the trainers. Obviously, this is a Gym Leader theme deck, so we have the Gym Leader trainer card. Blaine, actually one of the better Gym Leader cards. Instead of attaching your regular energy this turn, you can actually attach 2 fire energies to a Pokemon with Blaine in its name. So it's a very convoluted, roundabout, double colorless energy kind of, but it requires 3 cards combo card. I actually tried to include this in a Blaine's Rapidash deck. Certainly not the full playset. And then when you run maybe 1 or 2, then you might just slow the deck down. So nevertheless, it's a pretty cool card still. I like it. Cinnabar City Gym. On surface, it looks like a really cool gym. Look at that. All our fire Pokemon with Blaine in its name, all our Pokemon with Blaine in its name will lose its weakness towards water. But to be fair, in theme deck battles, probably not gonna draw it that often. If you do come up against a water deck, if it's Misty, Misty will probably be able to replace the gym. If you would try and construct a deck around it, Cinnabar City Gym is definitely not the one to go for. You're much better off just including, one line of Rapidash and maybe, covering that water weakness with something else in the deck. We have 1 copy of Blaine's Gamble. Very risky card, obviously, as in the name, it is really a gamble. You can discard any number of cards. You flip a coin. If you get the heads, you can draw twice as many cards. If you flip tails, then nothing happens. You lost all those cards. Now, there's another Blaine trainer, which is actually allowing you to draw 5 cards if you've got no cards in your hand. Works really well with that. But again, Wizards of the Coast decided not to include that in this deck, so womp womp womp. What it did decide to include are 2 copies of Fur War. Fur War basically allows you to flip the top 3 cards of your deck, show it to all players, and put any fire energy cards there into your hand and discard the rest. In a theme deck like this, likely you're gonna hit at least 1, maybe 2. Sometimes you're gonna hit all 3 fire energies, but if you hit your only Blaine's Arcanine and it ends up being in your discard for the rest of the day, for the rest of the game, then you're not gonna have a fun time. So again, another risky one really to play. Luckily, they did include 2 copies of Bill. You can never go wrong with Bills in these theme decks. And they also decided to include a Max Revive, which with discarding 2 energy cards from your hand, you can put 1 basic Pokemon from your discard to your bench. Problems there is that you lose 3 cards for 1 basic. Realistically, we have enough basics in the deck to facilitate the evolution, so yeah, again, probably not the greatest card in the Steam deck. What is great though is that we do get 2 copies of Potion, and our final trainer 1 copy of Super Potion, and these are really good for just generally keeping our main beaters on the board, but also being able to kind of like just refresh Arcanine if you have to resort onto using heat tackles. So yeah, you can also even carry on. You might be able to get another perhaps smaller hit in with a Doduo Retaliate, but at least you might be able to keep your Doduo alive. And certainly in theme deck battles, it's really important never to allow your opponent to KO your Pokemon. Now, no gust of wind, no switch, so that makes it pretty difficult to line up that Arcanine Firestorm 120 attack at the right time. And if you do push that guy up to the front, it's got a massive retreat cost with 3, so certainly could have been some additional help in this deck, that's for sure. And I really don't tend to do this, but the Japanese version does have a double colorless energy, so I did decide to put a DC into this deck as well. And the rest is, I think it's like 25 fire energies. It should be 26, but 1 is obviously a DC, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 27. Jeez, 28. You get 28 fire energies technically in the deck. But yeah, just on the blueprints of the Japanese one, I felt that, I mean, I probably wouldn't do this for any other deck, but this deck desperately needs double colorless energies. I mean, if you look at the whole setup, and very good reason why the Japanese did include it is that you can heat tackle with a double colorless, you can body slam with a double colorless, you can stamp with a double colorless, you can hind kick with a double colorless, you can mega pack, retaliate with a double colorless. So, you know, all these guys can all benefit from having that double colorless, which again, as I said on the original iteration, comes in the deck. I wish I could show it to you guys. I'm not going to open this. Let me know, guys, if you want to see this, and then you can compare and contrast the Japanese with the North American / European release. And this is it. Blaine theme deck from Gym Challenge. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I hope you guys have the ability to pick up some of these theme decks, and I guess this is one of the um, cheapest ways to get into playing old school Pokemon, because you can pick these up used. Uh, there's no point to go after the collector's boxes, because you probably would just want to keep that intact. You probably want to keep that wrapped up. But if you can pick up a used set, you can have a lot of fun just kind of playing theme decks versus theme decks. Up until next time, guys, Bussy and signing out. Peace.